The top agent inserted the artificial brain chip into her ear and a route instantly appeared before her eyes. Immediately after, Annie dashed to the edge of the cliff and jumped without hesitation. At the same time, Annie quickly grabbed the parachute of a passerby and successfully flew up against the wind. Then, according to the AR route guide and by virtue of flexible positioning along the way, to move around a little careless that is expected to fall to the bone, crumbs are not left. But just then the airspace in front of her was suddenly blocked by a house, and stepped on the roof and used the momentum to take off again to avoid the obstacles. Seeing the towering cliffs directly in front of her, she was unable to gain altitude. But in the nick of time, Annie maneuvered her parachute into another extreme right turn and flew through the dense jungle. I thought there was a smooth slope ahead, but in the next moment, a cable came out of the sky and was entangled with her parachute. Watching her teammates on the cable car is about to reach the foot of the mountain, and did not have time to think about it, directly cut off the parachute with the help of the parachute rope along the steel cable and slid down quickly in order to get to the bottom of the mountain before her teammates to solve the ambush terrorists and skiing while looking around to see the lower trail riding tourists. So Anne accelerated her speed and fell to the ground right in front of the caravan of cyclists. A rider who happened to be passing by got off his snowmobile to check on the situation. Anne took advantage of the driver to grab the helmet of the other rider and get on her snowmobile in a hurry and head straight down the mountain. At the same time, the terrorists ambushed by the platform realized that their boss was fighting with the agent on the cable car, so they hurriedly drove up the gun to try to kill the agent. But the first shot was wrong. Just as the terrorist pulls the gun and locks onto the agent inside the cable car again, Annie arrives on her bike just in time. After Annie takes out the terrorist with ease, her teammates in the gondola arrive at the platform just in time to make sure that the surrounding area is safe. Several people rushed to press the leader of the terrorists to prepare for the evacuation, but before they could take a few steps, the leader foamed at the mouth and died. When they found out about the incident, the senior management was furious and scolded them. But even so, as MI6's best task force, they were soon given a new assignment. The next day, they arrived at a safe house in a neighboring country, ready to wait for an opportunity to assassinate the target of the mission. But they did not know that danger was creeping towards them. The top agents put on the chip of the artificial brain and immediately observed 6 killers approaching the house through the wall. Annie quickly communicated with her teammates. Then when the killers broke through the door, they quickly suppressed the fire. Annie rushed to take 3 teammates in the car and quickly evacuated. But not far from the car, the killers followed closely behind them, in a pinch, and shouted to her teammates to open the car door and then drove the car directly to a drift in place to give the killer a firepower suppression. Successfully knocked down the killer on the bike, and accelerated through the crowds of people and drove the car straight to the square, and then saw the opportunity to turn the steering wheel fiercely. After completely eliminating all the killers, her teammates were dumbfounded when they saw such a powerful Annie. Seeing that it is impossible to hide, Annie then confessed to her teammates her real identity. Turns out to be a multinational organization licensing bureau of secret agents codenamed Red Heart 9, and wanted to continue to explain to a few people. But just at that moment, teammate Parker pulled out a gun and cleanly killed the 2 people this situation immediately made in his confused awe. Without waiting for the other side to answer, Annie quickly stepped forward and quickly launched a counterattack. Successfully subdued Parker after Annie wanted to ask the other side of the real history of the results of her eyes suddenly black and then was completely paralyzed on the ground without the power to resist. It turned out that during the fight, Annie was cut by a dagger, and Parker had already coated the blade with a drug. Parker then revealed the truth behind the original Parker was also a secret agent of the License Bureau, and Parker has long known the identity of Annie, the reason why she has been hibernating in order to get close to Annie in order to obtain the License Bureau's artificial brain disc heart. Parker then implanted a tracking chip into Annie's arm and waltzed away. When Annie woke up again, she was already lying in the emergency room of the Franchise Bureau's headquarters. The executives were about to reprimand her for disobeying orders, but then an alarm sounded inside the building.